Hello and welcome to our webinar, The End of SEO. We know that people are logging in as I'm speaking, so we're going to give you a few minutes to do that. And we'll be doing some introductions here in just a second. We're happy to see so many people registered. You're going to get some great content. You're going to learn all about what is happening with SEO, what's happening with AI, how is this impacting your marketing, how is it impacting your websites. All that's going to be coming to you really soon. So I see people are coming in. We're going to give probably another minute here for folks to jump in and get connected. All right. Welcome to our webinar. We have a few more people coming in. I'm going to get started here in just a second. All right, you're at the right place. We have a few more people coming in and we're going to get started. If you have a chance, as you come in, put in the chat what state you're located in. We'll see how many states we have represented today. Colorado, Texas, Virginia, great. Missouri. We'll probably cover at least 20 to 25 states. All right, excellent. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm sure a few more folks will come in as we start our webinar. I am Tom Young. I'm the founder and CEO of Intuitive Websites. Many of you know of our brand and you've seen our webinars before. I want to introduce to you a special guest we have today, Karen Hayward from Chief Outsiders. She's a managing partner, author of the book, Stop Random Acts of Marketing, one of the best titles of a marketing book you can find. And I highly recommend it. I've read the book. She's been with Chief Outsiders for 12 years and has an entire career in marketing. So Karen, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's an exciting topic, I think.
It's so exciting. And we have talked about this in our webinars over the course of this year, the revolution that AI is causing in marketing. And what our goal is today is to dive quite a bit deeper into that revolution and to look at content, the impact of AI on brands through their content, through their thought leadership, and how AI can help you be better at marketing, move more people through the funnel, and ultimately help you grow your business. So with that, let's jump in. So what you're going to get today is a lot of great content and information. One of the first things we're going to talk about is the biggest AI website mistakes to avoid. And the reason we're going to cover this is because I still see this on websites every day in 2026. So I want to make sure we know that we've got some work to do with a lot of our websites out there. We're also going to talk about how AI actually works to index your website. And this is something that we've learned quite a bit about over the last 6 months. We'll talk about the importance of digital content types and how structure is picked up by AI. We'll also talk about how you can use AI as a competitive advantage in your marketing and how to use AI tools to rank your website in AI search. Now, we're really at the infancy of this. AI is super important now for getting your brand found, and we want your website found in those AI searches. And we're going to talk about how to make that happen. It's a foundational part of marketing today. And for marketers out there watching this webinar, you're going to get some real AI literacy to lead your marketing strategies and teams. So this webinar is very strategic. It's very much about your mindset around AI, learning the approaches with AI so you can put them into action. We're also going to help you stop that downward cycle we're seeing with so many brands of less visibility in Google, less traffic to your website. There's a way to stop that from happening. We'll also talk about how to get your websites more meaningful in the age of AI. And that is really the key. And that keyword is meaningful. We're also going to talk about how to cut through the AI noise with valuable content. I'm still seeing too many websites out there that are brochure type content, and we need to get more into value and benefit focused content. And finally, we hope that this webinar will help you rethink how you approach your digital channels, how you approach marketing campaigns, and how you look at marketing metrics and what matters in the age of AI. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about is AI and websites and the rise of the website and answer engine. In fact, this concept of an answer engine is a different way of looking at your website. So instead of seeing your website as a brochure or an introduction to your brand, see your website as something that solves problems, that answers questions, that leads people toward a path of hiring you or buying from you as a solution to the pain they're feeling or the gain and desire they want. So let's jump into this. What is this all about, this concept of the answer engine? Well, behind it is the idea that you are now marketing more than ever to people and machines. And those machines are the AI tools and bots that are finding your content and ranking you. So it's so important to understand what people want and what machines want. And what you're going to find out is that there's a commonality between the two. And we want to be in that commonality. And it's around user intent, it's around benefits, and it's around helping people get what they want, right? That's really the bottom line. It's not so much about talking about how great your brand is. It's about making your brand a connection through thought leadership with the gains and the desires that people want. And to do that, we've got to avoid these mistakes. There's 7 critical mistakes that we need to avoid. I've already mentioned number 1. We've got to stop the online brochures, right? Online brochures with marketing-based content. We have to convert our digital content into a knowledge engine focused on value-based content. So to do this, we're going to write about the customer's needs and not so much about the company. Now, it doesn't mean you don't need a strong About Us page. You do, because that's going to get indexed in AI. But we want to write for customers and not so much for the company. And Karen, I know you've probably seen this in many, many years of marketing. Sometimes our clients are so close to their business,
Yeah.
they have a hard time seeing the business from the eyes of their customer, right? I'm sure you've seen that.
Yeah, it's taking a me versus them approach, right? And so I think it's so important to have the customer recognize, oh, they're talking to me. They're talking to
Yes.
me. Because at the end of the day, I've sort of aligned around the fact that your website is your first sales call. Because no one's going to give a salesperson an hour of their time before they go on the website and try to understand, what problem do I have for which you're the solution?
Absolutely. And so we want to avoid these mistakes. We also want to avoid the mistake of not enough depth of content and avoid the mistake of not being a thought leader. And we've seen this with our clients. All of our clients tend to have successful businesses, and they're successful because they're thought leaders in these key areas. But there's generally a huge gap between that thought leadership that they apply every day and the marketing content that they produce. There's also very poorly structured content navigation on a lot of websites. And what AI is doing more than ever is looking for structured content. And I'm going to talk today about technically why that happens and why that's important. The other thing that's key here is the credibility of the people at your business. And this has to do with content that builds authority, content that shows that you are an expert in your space. And like I said, so many companies we work with, they sit on boards, they belong to associations, they're key spokespeople in their market fields, but they've got to post that now on their website, and they've got to post citations where they've been published or they've been written about on other websites, because AI is looking for that. It's one of the ways it builds that authority. And in fact, I know, Karen, you mentioned to me that still today there's many websites that don't have citations. They're not building that authority. They're not showing that the CEO or the key leadership at that company has some real deep knowledge. What are your thoughts about this? I know at Chief Outsiders, it's a key part of what you do with your client base.
It is. And the fact, when you think about AI relies on the most reliable information.
Yeah.
So it will believe much more what the Wall Street Journal says about you than what you say about you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like over the last, I don't know, 5 or whatever years, PR has become less important. But now PR is really, I think, gaining importance because it's getting those other people to talk about you. It's your customers talking about you. It's you getting interviewed by the association. And all of those citations really help the brand visibility that you're going to get from those AI engines.
And it's so important now because when you do research in AI, you're not seeing 100 links presented. It's just a few sources and a few
Right.
citations, and people like that because they're in a hurry and they want bite-sized pieces of content. But for our brands and the clients we work with, if they're not cited in those top 3 listings, then there's a chance their brand might not be seen.
Yeah.
Um, and then finally, yes, you know, publishing AI written content is a no-no. We don't recommend that you go to ChatGPT and produce 100 blogs and post them on your website. We just feel like it's just not helping you as a marketing professional, right? And there's no penalties right now in place for that, but we feel like users can see through that Google doesn't even index those pages anyway. Karen, we worked with a client recently that was producing 2,500 blog posts a month that were all AI generated. They were paying an agency to do that. And we went and looked at those pages. They had 10,000 pages on their website from these efforts, and none of them were indexed in Google. Google was just ignoring them because it's AI generated content. Now, you think, well, maybe it'll give us a boost on organic SEO and maybe some people will read this content. People want to know that that content was written by someone at your business that's a knowledge expert, a thought leader. And if they have a citation where they've been written up on another site or a news article or whatever that might be, that's even more power to them. So we want you to avoid publishing AI written content. So this is your first checklist: 7 website
Yeah.
and AI search mistakes.
I just want to add one on number 7. Look, if you're going to use AI to write your content as your first drafts, it's going to be so vanilla, it's not even going to have a viewpoint. And
Yeah.
when I talk to the top content writers in the country, they would tell me, Karen, absolutely not. You have to be your thought leader and have your viewpoint. And then you can use AI to help supplement that or help bring it alive. But it really needs to be your thoughts and your opinion and your position on a topic.
Absolutely. So important. So important. And in fact, if we dive deeper into website content, let's have a fantastic homepage.
Yep.
Let's have that value content on the homepage. Homepages are still by far the most visited pages on websites. They are the introduction to your brand. We've also seen with AI engines the importance now of the About Us page. It's showing up quite a bit in AI search. So get your About page in order. Have a lot of great content there. Make sure you have depth of content on your products and services. I'm going to give you some examples here in a second on how to do that. We also saw that frequently asked question pages are fantastic now. Make sure you have one on your website and make sure you have a resources section for thought leadership where you're actively adding content, blogs and articles and so forth. And a lot of you might say, well, that's common sense, Tom. Of course we do that. I see websites every week that don't do these things. So I'm going to tell you, we've got to make sure our clients are doing these things. Also, as I mentioned, attribute your blogs to authors at your company. You might have a ghostwriter write for you, but you definitely want to attribute those blogs to as part of the citation process. It's part of building authority. And then make sure you organize your content around key headers, bullet points, and themes of content. Like say you're an engineering firm and you do electrical engineering and mechanical. Make sure you keep 2 clear categories for those 2 types of work, because then it helps AI, it helps the users structure what it is you do and structure your authority. So let me give you an example of clarity in content for AI, right? Because when we talk about being a thought leader, we talk about marketing speak content. This is what I still see on a lot of websites. In fact, this is more or less something I pulled from a recent Vistage talk I did, where this is what they had on their homepage, their tagline. It said, our company provides innovative technology solutions for today's fast-paced business climate. Now, this means a lot to the company. but to most users on the website, it doesn't say anything. In fact, it's interchangeable with almost every business that's out there today. So what's a better piece of content? Business consulting to reduce expenses by an average of 30%, streamlining processes, training team members, and measuring the right KPIs. Here's how we do it. And then, of course, when they click through, they can see how you do it. So look at the difference between these two pieces of content. This is how you take content that's generic and that AI is going to overlook and give AI something they can get their teeth around. If somebody looks for a solution on how to streamline processes to reduce expenses, guess who's going to get shown up for that search, right? We're going to make these slides available to you as well, so you can have them when you start redoing your content. We hope. So AI is creating a new conversation, right? Websites must talk to AI agents and provide real value. So it's no surprise this is happening. It's exactly what people need too. So if you're going to get a website structure for 2026 that's successful, make sure you have that topic authority around content clusters. You have structured knowledge with intuitive navigation, frequently asked questions, and define things, define terms. I've been on a mission for 20 years as a Vista speaker to educate people about the fact they may not know what you're talking about. We have got to be very clear and direct with our content and provide definitions of people of what your business does, what your products and services do. Then focus that thought leadership with unique insights, deep explanations, and write in the voice of your brand, because AI will understand your brand. All of this ties into what I'm going to talk about in a second, which is getting your brand more visible in AI. Finally, this is what builds up then that answer engine for humans and machines. And your websites now need to become answer engines, driving needs, driving benefit, focus, value.
Can I just add to a point there? We've done a lot of website audits when we go into work with the client. And one of the things that we have found, which is just mind-boggling, is that a lot of folks have had their websites locked down so that they cannot be crawled by the AI bots.
Yeah.
And so to everybody, the first question to whoever's hosting your website really needs to be, are we discoverable? Have we got that toggle switch locking down the engines under the guise of, well, that makes us more secure? It makes you more secure, but it makes your brand invisible.
That's a great point. You can't be an answer engine or a resource if you're not getting found in AI. We saw that back in the old days of SEO, where people used to have their robots.txt files turned off, and then they wouldn't get found in Google. So absolutely make sure you're getting found. In fact, go to Google's AI mode, which you can see on their Google website, and put your brand in there and make sure your website's showing up. In fact, it's a great exercise to do to see how your brand is getting found by Google's Gemini. So yes, great marketing provides great answers. In fact, there's an argument to be made that what marketing really is providing an answer. Someone has a problem, someone needs something, and marketing is going to provide an answer for them. So the rise of the answer engines involves this concept that AI is the new interface between buyers and your clients' products and services, or your company's products and services. Now, not all transactions are happening in AI. A lot of transactions still happen through Google search, but we have to see AI as the new foundation and bedrock for how people are going to interact with your products and services. AI is such a fantastic tool for doing product and service comparisons. It's going to get even more popular in the future. So I want to show you what we've seen in our data as the most popular AI engines, and Google is the winner. ChatGPT falls in second, along with Microsoft's Copilot. But Google's AI mode is still number one, and that's driven by Gemini. And Google did win the contract with Apple, so Google will be powering Apple's AI, and that's a huge win. So Apple selected Google over ChatGPT. And then Claude AI is doing really good stuff. And we've been comparing ChatGPT to Claude AI, and we've recently switched over to Claude AI as our primary driver for our internal use of AI, because we feel like it's providing better depth of content. And ChatGPT is going down a path of ads, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So we want to stay with something that provides great depth of content. And then one of the top AI websites, you want to call it a website, is Perplexity. These are the market leaders in the top answer engines right now. It's no surprise that Google is the biggest player in this.
I'd like to just make a comment about how powerful what Tom is just alluding to is from a practical standpoint.
Yeah.
So at Chief, and I'll use Chief Outsiders as the case study here. At Chief Outsiders, about a third of our business always came in through the website. Someone filled out a form, said, I want to talk to a managing partner. And we generated about a third of the company's revenue through that. I would say over the last 4 to 6 months, half of the inbound traffic to our website now is not from search like it previously was. People will say, well, I found you on ChatGPT and Chat said you were the gold standard for fractional executives, or I found you on Claude. It has dramatically changed. So companies really need to pay attention to this, or they're going to have such a decline in their inbound leads, they're not going to be able to recover.
It's so true. And this is a trend that is just starting. I mean, we're just in the infancy of this. So right now, these are the major players.
That's a dramatic result in such a short period of time. I think that really magnifies the criticality of getting on board here.
And for Chief Outsiders, because you all are such thought leaders, you're really the leading CMOs in the nation, right? So because you're such thought leaders, you're early adopters of this, and it's happening to you really quick. We're here to tell you it's going to happen across all industries.
Yep.
You don't have to be a Chief Outsider for this to happen to you. You can be a manufacturing company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right? It's going to happen for all of us. So this is what they want. You know, what do these answer engine wants? We want to give them what they want, right? And so these are the principles of EEAT. This is from Google. You can go deeper into this in the Google search engine, but people want expertise. They want to know your experiences, your authority, and they want you to build trust with them. And this is something that has to be on your website and in your digital content. And to make it really work, you've got to have clarity and direct messaging, like I showed the example earlier. And we've got to have that structured knowledge so that our websites are organized in a very easy to use fashion. In fact, we're big advocates of 4 key navigation menus. Navigation menu number 1 is products and services. Navigation menu number 2 is resources. Those are 2 main buckets. The 3rd bucket is the about bucket, and the 4th bucket is content, contact us. In those 4 areas, you can basically have your entire business listed, right? So you want to have that structured knowledge. And then keep in mind now that keywords are changing, right? And so, you know, we're asking the question, is SEO dead? Well, keywords now are for traditional SEO to get found in Google, but this thought leadership is for the answer engines and for AI. And let me give you an example of how answer engines work. So if you have a website that is about biodegradable plastic, let's say you manufacture this, you're looking for partners to distribute it and buy this from you. So an example would be build a page that answers all the questions people have about biodegradable plastic. Don't write about how great your company is on this page or how great your product is. Answer the questions. So what questions might they have? Well, they want to know how it's made. Tell them how it's made. They want to know, what are the benefits for me, the buyer, in the different parts of the channel. Tell them what the benefits are. They want to know how to buy it. Be very clear on the process of how to buy your product. They want to know the process for implementing biodegradable in their manufacturing. Tell them on this page how to do that, right? And then when you do that, you'll start to build relationships between these topics and your website in general. And that's what AI is going to look for. So if you want to show up when someone asks a question about biodegradable plastic, we have to answer these questions on our website. And our goal, if we do this, is that AI will pull this content live, even within a few days of it getting published, and it'll index it based on these answers, not based on keywords. That's a different strategy around SEO. So we say, you know, is SEO dead? Well, it's not dead. Organic SEO will be here forever, but it's changing, it's modifying, it's being morphed into these answer engines for AI. Now, one of the things that we've done at Intuitive Websites is build a tool to help us find content gaps. And this is something AI can help you do as well. You want to look at your website and say, hey, with what's being asked in our market space, where are the content gaps? How can we build these pages that answer these questions? And if you run through this tool, you can be able to do that. And we're happy to provide a demo for anyone that wants to, just reach out to me on email and we'll get that scheduled. All right. So let's look at how people get answers. Well, AI is trained on massive data sets, and those data sets are detecting patterns in language. And then these AI tools are generating a probable response based on that data set, and the pattern is picking up. And then the best data will come from your data set. And Karen, you mentioned this earlier. You've got to create that content. You've got to create those data sets so that AI will index you and find those answers. Because AI is going to predict the text statistically. It doesn't know the facts. All it knows is what's going to be the best response to this answer. And as it indexes your website, it's going to have to predict what is the best next word to make that happen. So marketers have to adapt to get this to work. Your thought leadership is what's going to earn you that engagement, and that exceptional mid-funnel content is what's going to motivate people to action. All of this, of course, must be integrated with your CRM and your email marketing campaigns. And what you'll soon find is because this content drives folks that are more qualified and they're more powerful in the middle of the funnel, conversion strategies now are more important than ever. In fact, the days of simply hiring an SEO firm and getting tons of traffic to your website, we need to hire strategic companies like Chief Outsiders or Intuitive Websites to help you with conversion strategies, with how we get movement in the funnel. That's how marketers must adapt.
Let me share a statistic on that.
Yes.
And this is real data from Chief Outsiders on Chief Outsiders. If a client comes to us through SEO or Google versus coming to us through an AI engine, an AI engine inbound lead closes at twice the rate.
Wow.
Twice the rate. That's massive ROI sitting there for companies to unlock today.
And it's interesting that happens, because if you go look at the Chief Outsiders website and you spend time with the brand, you will see thought leadership and authority all over the website, right? All of the CMOs provide content. They post in social. All of their links come back to the website. They're publishing papers and articles. So when AI indexes that website, they're indexing a thought leader. So it makes perfect sense that conversion rate would be higher. If you have a very niche industry where you're a thought leader, you could see fantastic conversion rates, right? Because, unfortunately, Karen and I have a lot of competitors, a lot of people that do marketing out there. But use that thought leadership in your marketing and branding. As I said, integrate these things with your email campaigns, realize how important conversion strategies are. And then I want to introduce you to the topic of vector databases. Now, this is a new term for many people, but vector databases is the way that AI organizes content so that it can provide those answers. And we're going to dive into vector databases. I'm going to kind of change the topic a little bit. We're going to get technical and we're going to get deep. Before I get into this, I do want to see if there's any questions from the audience, anything lingering on the content part of our webinar before we get into the technical part. If you do have a question, put it in the audience chat, and we'll also do another Q&A check-in here in a second.
Oh, we have a question, Tom.
Okay.
Can you recommend a tool to evaluate my content to be sure my thought leadership is seen as my own by an AI engine? Because I do use AI to help write and format my ideas.
Well, I've got to plug our tool for this. This is what we built. We spent the last year building a tool that analyzes websites and analyzes website content to find out where are the gaps, how can we get listed in AI. Now, you can use AI tools with a quick and dirty way, and you can just ask the question of ChatGPT, look at my website and tell me where I'm missing content, right? You can do that. It's not as tight and as focused, but we do have a tool that can help you with that. And I know Karen, Chief Outsiders also has a super powerful AI tool as well.
We do. But let me go back to the Christina's question, because she wants to know if there's a tool that would make her content seen as her own by an AI engine. How does she make sure that AI is seeing it as her content? Is there a way to do that?
Well, I don't know of an easy way to do that. I do know that you need to have a writer as a partner. So there are a lot of folks out there that are professional writers. They can interview you, they can get to know you, and they can write in your voice. Many of us are not writers. I mean, Karen and I have published books. We're writers. We do this for a living, but we understand many of you are working on your business and you have things you have to do. Partner with a writer, and that writer can get your brand out there. And then you can use AI tools to find, what content to write about. What's the key things to write about? And you write content today for vector databases, because this is how AI translates value and stores meaning. I'll jump into this a little bit. I think this is going to be important for you all to understand what these things are. So vector databases is the language of AI. This is the new language of digital marketing, and it's translating from search to meaning. So AI is really trying to decipher user intent and providing content that meets that user intent, whereas Google SEO is trying to find the keyword that's most appropriate for a website. So vector databases are super important. And to make sure that we have vector databases on our website, the content set up, I want you to understand how all this works. So what AI does is it converts text to numbers and then uses numbers and calculations to predict the next word based on what might generally be the next word. And you can either have that be very exact or have it be very creative. If it's very creative, it's called temperature. If it's very creative and the temperature is low, then you're going to get hallucinations. If the temperature is high, then you're going to get more exact content. So as AI converts text to numbers, it's trying to predict the next word. So those predictions are actually the definition of human meaning and context. And so it's really interesting to see that what AI has done is starting to act like a human, because it's predicting what the next word is, just like we as humans do. What a vector database does is it combines words into similar meanings. And without getting into a ton of content or detail on technical side of this, a vector database is going to look at, if this is the question and I have to produce an answer, where can I get that answer? Well, let me find a database that has already done that for me. And that database needs to be on your website. And that's why all this thought leadership we're talking about will actually show up in AI, because you're creating these vector databases. AI tools will display that content then based on user intent. And the bottom line, and Karen, you mentioned this, words don't drive SEO, but meaning based on your user intent does. So we're moving away from this world of marketing consultant and finding a website that has the terms marketing consultant on, to I need to find a marketing consultant that's going to produce a certain ROI for me, that is available now, that is located in my area. This is much more exact, much more targeted on the meaning and the intent of the user. And this is what vector data does. And so when users are out there using AI and creating questions, those questions are going to be converted into a vector database on your website. The large language models, the AI, will look for similar vector database content, and that's what they'll display. And they'll build or respond based on the most probable meaning. This process is completely revolutionizing search. And what I want to do today in this webinar is introduce you to the process. You can go out and do more research on vector databases. And what we spent the last year doing in Intuitive Websites is converting websites from traditional SEO type websites to vector database websites that can get indexed and found by AI. The beauty in this is that they also get indexed in regular SEO as well, because Google also likes this approach in traditional SEO. So to make this happen, we've got to understand language patterns, and these concepts around language patterns are key to getting found, and that our content now is going to get pulled out of your website live and on the fly. We're not indexing websites to be found in Google search anymore. We're indexing content to get found live and retrieved live by AI users. This is why it's so important that you update your content on a regular basis. I know Chief Outsiders is fantastic about that. And the content, Chief Outsiders doesn't do a ton of content, but the content they do is fantastic. And that is exactly what AI wants. And you also do short form and long form content. So all of that works great. The relationships between topics add value, and also the process of content clusters and supporting pages must be there as well. So this is your introduction to vector databases, and that's going to be so important as we go into our next topic of brand authority and how trust and thought leadership beats traffic. Karen, any thoughts on what I talked about with vector database and thoughts about brand authority?
Well, there's probably nothing more important than building your brand authority. And, I think the AI engines look for trust. And the other piece of content, and, Tom talks a lot about content on the website. I would also recommend that you think about this beyond just your website, and be talking to ChatGPT and talking to Claude about your company, and loading your customer testimonials into ChatGPT for other people to see and access. So while today's discussion is focused on, what do we have to do, in our own backyard, our own website, there's a whole other opportunity out there to create a much larger digital presence that will also help build your brand authority.
Yeah, and we've seen early parts of this. You're seeing it at Chief Outsiders. AI rewards brands that do this.
Yes.
Because you consistently get shown again and again and again, right? And then, let your competitors muddle around with brochure type copy and not keep their blogs updated. I still see websites every week that haven't had a blog done in 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that are going to fall behind, right? So let's get that brand authority out there. Let's get the trust going, right? Because AI is looking for your brand in its search interface. It wants brand visibility within those AI answers, and it's going to rely on that authority and trust to do that. So to make this happen, we have to consider how we influence our community, how we influence the folks that follow our brand or want our products or services. It's so important to note that people do crave brand leadership and connection. And people still are very loyal to brands. They tend to stick with a brand once they buy from them. That brand relationship then can become a real partnership built on trust. Now, to make this happen, and I mentioned this earlier, we really need to think about having a writing partnership with a team of writers or a core writer at your business. At Intuitive Websites, we have, I think, 3 or 4 content writers on our team working on client projects week in and week out, because a big part now of marketing is producing content. And that content, we've mentioned this, really is centered around website content, blogs, emails, videos are so important, social posts, of course, and a nice mix of short and long form content. One of the things that both our brands do, Intuitive Websites and Chief Outsiders, is we will produce some short form content that's got great insights. But then behind that will be a book of content or a webinar or a video or a long form blog post. The AI loves that approach because it gives us that bite-sized content, but then we have the long form content as well to follow it up. So we're doing all of this because AI is not driving your thought leadership. You are driving your thought leadership. Your content has to power AI. And so the gal that asked the question earlier, it's a bit of a mindset shift, right? So we're thinking, all right, well, AI is out there. I'm going to use it as a tool to help me with content. I want you to think of it this way. AI is a tool that powers your content. You get your content into AI, and then it's more powerful than ever. And I'm going to talk about here in a second about the concept of building a custom ChatGPT with your very own content. And that's really at the key to how you supercharge your marketing. Keep in mind, newer content is always going to be more relevant. So you've got to keep your content updated. Companies, people, brands, and products, bios, and credentials are all super important. You want to have mentions across channels. If you're in the media, on other websites, you want those mentions. And for B2B, LinkedIn has been so powerful. But get those articles, podcasts, get your reports and citations and blogs and more listed on your website. And then keep in mind, all this content must be aligned with user intent. I'm going to share these slides with you because there's a lot of great bullet points in here. And these slides can become your checklist for things you need to get done. And I did mention bite-sized content and videos that we still have to focus on both the long form and highly impactful content with videos that are loaded with value. And keep in mind, most videos are watched in social.
I want to just
And
put
yes,
a plug in. I just want to put a plug in for a video tool that uses AI. We had it demonstrated to us. One of our CMOs was using it for his client. Super high quality, very effective, and put a video together really, really quickly. And the application is called Hey Gen, Hey, and then JEN. And so for those of you looking to up your game on either the quantity of video or the quality of video, check it out.
It's fantastic. I'm so glad you mentioned Hey Gen. We love Hey Gen. We use it on all our blog posts. I've created an AI avatar of myself. And so my avatar actually reads my blog post. So if someone doesn't want to read the blog post, they can watch my avatar present it as a video, in a video format. And so we're using Hey Gen all the time. It's a fantastic tool. Yes, and traditional SEO still matters. I hope you're getting that point. So it's not the end of SEO, it's the changing of SEO, really. Video is not optional to reach people in the funnel. And this is something that we've seen more and more, is that a large majority of people watch video content. They watch it in LinkedIn, they watch it on YouTube. So you have to have a strategy around video content as well. I don't want that to get lost. And then we just mentioned video avatars and custom AI chatbots on websites. You can do that with tools like Hey Gen or ChatGPT, or HubSpot's a great tool as well for creating AI chatbots. All right, so we're going to start to wrap up. I want to make sure I get some time for questions and answers, but all of this now becomes a competitive advantage for you, and AI will give you a real edge. AI gives you an edge because it's an accelerator for marketing thinking. And companies that move faster with marketing get more customers. And that's true. That's true in the age of the internet and in the age of AI. So how can we do this? So think about using AI for your marketing strategy and analysis with custom ChatGPTs. So a custom ChatGPT is where you create a ChatGPT that is a brain for your brand or your company or your business. You can do this through OpenAI. You can do it through Claude AI, and more tools are coming on all the time to do this. But if you upload your marketing content, in fact, all the content you can around your company, into a custom ChatGPT, now you're fueling your content with AI, and you can move so much faster and so much smarter as a marketer. It is probably one of the best ways to do AI-powered personas, is so that the AI tool knows so much about your business. It can give you fantastic personas, can also give you what I think is the most important use of AI is benefit-focused content. Using these AI tools to get real customer benefits. And what I love about Chief Outsiders is the voice of the customer. And we've worked on several projects with Chris Wallner, and he's fantastic at voice of the customer. And what voice of the customer really is the real identified tangible benefits that customers want from your brand.
Can I just add a point here?
Yeah.
If you guys take away anything from today's conversation, this is the holy grail that Tom is talking about right now.
Yeah.
And it can be so powerful. When you talk about voice of the customer, many of our clients have net promoter scores. They'll go out and they'll say, you know, how was your product or service? And then they get these incredible quotes from their clients. Oh, geez, we worked with Tom Young and it was amazing. And he did this and that and this and that for us. Well, you can take all of those either snippets of testimony or NPS scores, anytime you get a testimonial, anything like that, and load it into this chat GPT. Now you have citations that AI is going to find much more trustworthy than you going on and creating your chat GPT and saying, we're a great company to work with.
It's such a good point. And there's so many, we could go on forever on this, but and you can also then get, when you go to your custom ChatGPT now, you have the real customer benefits, your content's so much more meaningful. Yeah. So you might go to your custom ChatGPT and have a first draft blog post written that you're going to rewrite before you post, but it's going to be a fantastic post because it understands that voice of the customer. And we haven't talked much about marketing campaigns, but Karen, one of the things we've seen in the last 6 months is that we can't just rely on traditional SEO. We've got to have proactive marketing campaigns, LinkedIn, Google ads, email campaigns, listings on the websites, all of that around a constant theme. We've really had to do a lot of this because of the drop in website traffic we've seen with the changes in SEO.
I'll share a quick story. We worked with a vineyard, and if you know anything about the wine business, it's really struggling, right? So we worked with a small winery, and we really built an AI strategy for them and helped them with their digital presence and gave them a lot of answers, like they're a dog-friendly winery. Anyway, we put this whole thing together. Within 60 days, this winery was able to increase its traffic to the winery, their tasting room, by 30%, and they were able to double their sales. So the opportunity here is real for everybody.
We have so many similar stories to tell. We recently worked with a transportation firm that did audits of transportation companies, and their website was getting hardly any impressions. It just was invisible. And after we started approaching this within a 2-week period, they had 22,000 impressions in AI and in Google search. And now the website was not in good shape to start with, but it just shows the power of this targeted content. So we've got some work to do. We're giving you some work to do. And when you do these things, you will move faster, you will find more customers, and you'll beat out your direct competitors. That's the whole point of using AI. You'll also get better marketing campaigns. You'll see more movement in your sales funnel. You'll be able to do predictive modeling with this custom ChatGPT that will drive conversions. You can get improved segmentation from AI personas. All of these things are at your fingertips now once you build those custom ChatGPTs. And we're using a tool called DataBox, and our DataBox is integrated with our custom ChatGPT. So now we have insights into data that were just unthinkable even just a few months ago. And not only do we have those insights, we can move so fast on data. We don't have to have a person sit with the data and scan through things, looking for trends, finding what the anomalies are. The AI agents do that for us, and we can move on data really quickly.
Tom, we have a question.
Sure.
And the question is, should we combine B2C and B2B custom chat GPTs or have them separate?
No, so if you have one brand and one business, if there's any commonalities at all, I would do one. If your brand is really 2 brands, then you would do 2. So, but if it's the one brand, because what we found is that if you're selling to consumers and selling to, say, resellers, there's always some overlap in that, right? So I would say do one. And it's the same thing with your website. I get asked this question: should I have 2 websites? Should I have one? Only have 2 websites if you're alienating people, if you really need to have a separate brand. But for the most part, Google and all the AI engines, they want to see one core brand, and they can interpret your brand. They can figure that out. So this webinar is about changing your mindset. Change your mindset and grow your business. AI is a tool to supercharge performance. It's not the quick fix for strategy. We still need the humans for that, but it will supercharge your performance. It'll certainly help you tweak that strategy. And it rewards marketing fundamentals. A lot of what Karen and I are talking about are marketing fundamentals that we just don't see like we should. But do these things and you'll be rewarded. As I said, speed will determine winners and losers, and sales and marketing must be in strategic alignment. So your best salespeople must be working with your best marketing people, because they have that benefit-focused insights. They can really help all of this process. All right, so I'm going to talk about one more topic here, and we're going to start to wrap up, and that's the AI and paid ads, the commerce of AI and advertising. And so we want to stay on top of this. We've already started to see how commerce is impacting Anthropic and Claude, and how the Defense Department decided not to work with them. That was all driven by money, right? But ChatGPT jumped in, OpenAI said, we'll take this contract. So the commerce of AI is going to start to happen now, because most of the AI engines are done with their funding. They're done building their platforms. They got to monetize them now. So we're going to start to see more paid ads in these AI engines. And I want to give you some insights on what we're seeing early. This is going to be a revolutionary channel. This is going to change everything. Karen and I were both in marketing when Google transformed marketing with Google Ads, right? And so, I remember seeing the very first pay-per-click that came out, goto.com. You could pay a penny per click and get on a website. When I saw that, I thought this is changing everything. And sure enough, it did, right? This is going to change everything as well. So we want to be ahead of that. We want to understand what's coming. It'll be unlike any other kind of digital ads. It's going to be more personal. It's going to be more in sync with user intent than anything we've seen before. Right now, they're focusing on enterprise level customers. So that's an interesting trend. I think the minimum was 200 to 250,000 per ad spend. So most of the clients we work with are not going to fall in that category. Most of the clients we work with are more the mid-sized companies. So we'll have to keep ready for that when it does change. We have to be aware of how ads might corrupt AI and real-time content. It's got a whole nother level of hallucination. Hallucination to drive profits for the AI companies. I want you all to be aware of that and how that could change things. It's all a work in progress right now, but it's going to change paid marketing. And something that just happened last week is OpenAI hired the former Meta Ads lead. So the guy that ran Meta Ads for many, many years, I think from the creation on up, is now running OpenAI ads. So if you know Facebook and if you know Facebook ads, it's going to give you an insight into what's probably coming. And I don't like it because I think it's too manipulative. It's not straightforward. And I would rather see marketing be much more open and honest and transparent, right? And I don't like the idea of what Facebook has done. Facebook just lost their lawsuit in New Mexico over transparency and how they market. I'm much bigger fan of this is what you want, this is what you get, as opposed to let me trick you to getting something maybe you didn't want. Don't like that kind of ads, right? We used to call that spam. So a lot happening with AI ads. Karen, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this yet, or if Chief Outsiders have thought about it, but it's coming and it'll be here this year.
Yeah, I think we just need to keep a close eye on it. And I think, in anticipation of this, I think there's a lot of homework everybody needs to do. Someone said this to me, stop chasing clicks and start owning the answer. And
wisdom. It's so good.
I really think that's what companies need to do right now. And then as we start to learn more about these AI ads and where they get targeted and do they actually come down market and be more affordable for our customers, then, you and I share the same customer set, then we'll have to be on top of it. But I really think people have a ton of homework to do in anticipation of being able to handle, this sort of evolution.
In my business talks, I have a saying. I say awareness is everything. So now you are aware, marketers. You've heard it from us. Don't get caught by surprise. And actually, when it is open for the mid-sized companies, get in early because you'll get great ad rates, just like you did with Google Ads when it first came out. All right, we're going to start to wrap up. So we want to take some action. We hope you take action. There's a lot more action in this webinar than I'm going to summarize for you, but let me give you a few things to think about. Number one, train your company, train your clients on AI, give them that awareness, get their buy-in. This is something we work on every day here at Intuitive Websites. Accelerate research with personas. We didn't talk a ton about personas, but I love using AI for persona work, especially your custom ChatGPT builds. Build a thought leadership answer engine. Use your custom ChatGPT, use your website, and make your website a thought leadership answer engine. And to do this, build those content knowledge hubs. Be known and thought of as a thought leader. Go spend some time on intuitivewebsites.com and on chiefoutsiders.com. You'll see what thought leadership looks like there. And have a mindset that brand authority beats website traffic, just like Karen said. Don't go chasing clicks. Go chase real customers in your funnel. And then keep in mind that what you use to research may not be what everyone else uses, right? So keep in mind all the different various AI tools that are out there, and think about LinkedIn, email marketing, Google, and all the different platforms that you need. All right, we're just going to wrap up here in about 4 or 5 minutes. I do have a book that's available on this topic. You can buy it wherever books are sold. Digital Marketing in the Age of AI. Also, we're both available to you as resources. Chief Outsiders is a great place to start when you want to get your strategic marketing house in order. And here is Karen's contact info. Thank you so much, Karen, for being here.
You bet.
It's pretty straightforward, chiefoutsiders.com. And then here's my info as well. You can email me direct, or when we share the slides, you can book a meeting with me using that meeting link. So let's wrap up with any Q&A that's out there. Any other questions that come in from the group, and we'll go from there.
I think we've answered all of the questions that have come in so far.
That sounds good. Yeah. And we got a few thank yous as well. So you're welcome. And look for more webinars coming from Intuitive Websites. It was a pleasure seeing everybody here. And we're going to put a recording of this out. We'll also put the slides on our website. And you have a lot of work to do, but a lot of gain to get from it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Tom.
You bet. Thanks, everyone, for attending.